We've got a great guest here in the studio this morning, Femi Oluwole, who's from Our Future, Our Choice. Femi, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Lion's Den, I think I can only say. You've been brave enough to come in, so I'm not going to be too horrible to you. But what on earth do you think you're doing?
Well, I find it quite ironic that you said it's not a march for jobs, so not a march for food, not a march for peace,
right.
when that's literally the primary things that our EU membership has managed to secure over the past 40 years.
Right. Do you remember the Balkans War? The Balkans War.
Go for it.
You remember when there was a war in Bosnia? Yeah, that was under EU auspices. That was when the European Union was busy making sure that we had peace throughout the continent for the rest of time. There was a massive war. People were killed. People were killing their neighbours. The EU did nothing about it. In fact, the EU caused it.
The argument that bad things happened whilst we were members of the EU can be used about anything. You could say there's oxygen in the air and there's still famine in the world. Something that happens
that doesn't make any sense
at the same time does not mean it's the cause.
Well, you just told me the EU has preserved peace in the world. I've just given you an example of how that's not true.
I'm saying the EU was literally a product of the agreements that came together at the end of the Second World War.
So
it made sure that our economies were so intertwined that we would never go to war against each other.
The Second World War ended when?
In 1945.
When did we opt into the European Union?
75.
How many wars were there in between?
How many was it?
In between?
Oh, how
45 and 73. Any wars? No.
No.
So it wasn't to do with the European Union that we didn't have any wars. It was to do with the fact that we won.
Agreement.
Yeah, we had a peace agreement. We didn't need to be in the EU to make sure we didn't go to war. So the war argument is done, okay? Move on to the next argument.
The next argument is quite simply, and this is the most important thing, people are not getting what they voted for. They wanted more control, a better NHS, and to be better off. Right now, the deal that Theresa...
No, they didn't. That's wrong too. They wanted to leave the European Union. That's what they voted for, and that's what we're doing.
They had. Do you think that people wake up every morning think about the EU? No. They think about the food on their plates. They think about how well their families are. They think about whether or not the country is looking after them.
Are you saying that people that voted to leave the European Union are stupid?
No, I'm saying they wanted. We've been touring the country speaking to Leave voters, asking them what they wanted. Better NHS, more control, and to be better off.
Yes.
The British Medical Association is saying this is bad for the NHS.
Well, they would say that.
Well, yes, because they're the doctors. What's the point in us using doctors if we don't trust their advice on medical issues?
They don't know what's going to happen, and neither do you, and neither do I. Nobody knows what's going to happen.
They know that leaving the single market means we leave the rule system of the EU, which means we'll have lesser access to the drugs of the EU.
Absolute rubbish. What, you think we're going to turn into some kind of third world nation with no medicine just because we leave an organisation which is inevitably corrupt, which has never been audited, right?
I'm saying that the European Medicines Agency is the agency through which we get new drugs approved,
because we're in the European Union. We don't need to have that.
And that agency is leaving the UK.
They've already left.
And it is via that agency
what? They've already gone.
And it is via that agency that we get fast access to new drugs.
No,
if we are in a different market...
Listen, have they left the country or not already?
They are leaving.
They've already gone.
They're leaving March.
They are leaving their London premises and they are not coming back, right? That has not caused any major problems in the medical system.
They haven't left yet.
Oh, right.
Neither have we.
Okay, well, we're leaving on March the 29th.
Yes,
don't worry
and then
about
we lose access to the European Medicines Agency.
So what?
So what? Please tell that to the people who rely on drugs in this country. The idea that the people who argue for Brexit saying it'd be better for the NHS, and now they're happy for a Brexit that will significantly damage the NHS, that is a fundamental betrayal of Brexit voters.
Do you believe in democracy?
I believe in democracy,
Do you believe in the voting power of the people of this country?
Yes.
Do you believe one man, one vote?
Yes.
So why are you moaning about the fact that you lost?
Because one man, one vote is the idea that people should get what they voted for. And people wanted more control.
When was the last time that happened?
And as I mentioned,
when was the last time that happened? What about when Nick Clegg promised... Hang on. What about when Nick Clegg promised students that they would have no tuition fees if they went to university,
This is plain whataboutery. The idea that something happened...
What does that even mean? Whataboutery? What is whataboutery? What is that?
Can I finish? This is the idea that
Only if you explain the word.
This is something that happened... the argument that just because something wrong happened elsewhere, it means it's okay for something wrong to happen now.
But you can't make out... No, you cannot... No, don't call me sir. You cannot make out that because people voted in one particular way that they should expect to get what they thought they were voting for. That never happens.
You are literally arguing against democracy right now.
No, I'm not. I'm arguing for democracy.
That people should not be able to get what they voted for.
No, you don't. You don't get it. Well, you can laugh if you like. You are wasting my time.
You are claiming to be an agent of democracy, and you're arguing that people shouldn't get what they voted for.
You're wasting taxpayers' money. You're acting like a spoiled child. That's what you're doing.
It is because of people like yourself that people are having to march tomorrow to demand...
It's my fault now. Why is it my fault?
Because you were arguing literally that
already had a
Brexit
vote.
voters should not get what they voted for.
That's not what I said.
You
No,
said
you're not that stupid, mate. You're
said
not that
it's unreasonable.
stupid.
You said
I said it's ridiculous.
Sir.
It's ridiculous to expect to get everything you vote for, because in every single election, in every single country in the world, the only place you get what you voted for is in America, because Donald Trump's doing what he said he would do, and everybody's going mad about it.
Yeah, sure, because I can see that wall turning up greatly.
Well, their economy's in pretty good shape, I think you'll find.
And so here's the thing. Given that people are not getting what they voted for, it is only logical that we have the right to decide whether or not this deal is good enough for us, for our future,
We've already decided.
for our children's future.
We've already decided.
We haven't decided on a deal. Did we
We've
have a deal?
decided to leave the European Union.
In 2016, did we have a Brexit deal?
What?
In 2016, did we have a Brexit deal?
No, we didn't.
No, and this is the idea. I mean, in the Good Friday Agreement, they had a referendum, and in that referendum, every single voter received a copy of the text of the Good Friday Agreement before they voted. They got to see the deal that they were signing before they signed it, because who does it the other way around? And that is why people are marching tomorrow. That's why young people, especially,
well,
are
let me
marching
ask you
to
this
say,
question. Let me ask you this question. You're probably too young to vote in the 1973 referendum to join the European Union, right? There was nothing written down about what it would mean. There was nothing written down about
There
how
was
much.
a treaty.
There was nothing given to every
There was
voter
a
that you've
treaty.
just described. There was nothing written down about how the
Again,
European Union.
this
Wait a
is-
second. Wait a second. Nothing written down about how the EU was going to expand into 27 countries. Nothing written down about how freedom of movement was going to affect the terrorist threat in Europe. Nothing written down about how we were going to try and form some kind of EU army. Nothing at all about that. So, in fact, we were sold a pup in 1973. It's exactly what you're saying we were done now.
This EU army thing. Defense policy in the EU requires unanimity, so we could never be forced into an EU army. You have to stop with that lie. And as for the idea,
Don't accuse me of lying or I'll throw you out the studio.
Pardon?
Don't accuse me of lying or I'll throw you out the studio.
When there is no, are we being forced into an EU army?
No, I didn't say that. I never said anything about being forced into an EU army. What I said was, in 1973, we were told a lot of stuff that never came true. We were also told that the EU was going to be an economic union only. It turned out to be much more than that. We were sold down the river by the people who asked us to vote. You're not even old enough to remember it.
The treaty that was signed in 1975 included clearly ever closer union. It was literally in the text. Just like we have a text right now in terms of what the EU treaties are, just like we need a text if we're going to make an informed decision about what we want our future relationship with the EU to be. And that is what young people...
We don't want to have a relationship with them anymore. We've had a vote. You lost.
It's over. You don't want to have a relationship with our biggest, closest and cheapest trade partners.
Not with the European Union.
You were willing to sacrifice the prosperity of the United Kingdom in favour of utter ideology.
Dawn, would you like to intervene here and give this guy a slap?
I was trying to get a word in edgeways.
Go for it.
I'm not going to slap anybody this morning, gentlemen. Femi, I just want to ask, it's like, what do you think you're actually going to achieve? Because they're not going to take any notice of you. So you're all going to turn up tomorrow, over 100,000 people supposedly. And, you know, what's going to happen?
We need to make the point to MPs that, quite simply, their jobs are on the line.
I think, but aren't MPs very aware of the point that you have made already? I mean, people have been sort of like making this point now for the last 2 years. I think most of us ordinary folk are getting bored, rigid with the whole thing. I think we just want to get on with it and get the best deal we can. I agree with Mike.
The best deal we can doesn't really work, though.
But we have had
what makes you an expert on what the best deal is?
I studied EU law.
Oh, great. Fantastic. Well, what are you doing about that?
I've been making the point for the past 2.5 years.
It's not going very well, is it?
There is no way this can work out.
Well, you've already lost, though. You know everything about what you're talking about, but everybody else who actually enjoys living in this country and enjoys the fruits of their labour and is quite happy not to be part of what is essentially quite a corrupt political union. Well, it's an awful lot more people than you think, because they won the vote. They won the vote. It's over. Spurs, Tottenham, Spurs against West Ham tomorrow. You know, Spurs win 2-0. That's the end of the game. Spurs get 3 points. The losers go home. You should go home. You're the losers.
Femi, you've been making...
Sorry, no. Let's be really clear on this. The losers in this are the people who will be suffering as a result of it. I mean,
no.
Me personally, I was born in Darlington, so I identify very strongly with the Northeast. And in the Northeast...
Did they vote for Brexit?
There were 20... Yeah, they voted strongly for Brexit.
Yeah.
And there were 27,000 jobs in the Northeast that rely on a Nissan factory that sends 75% of its cars to mainland
Why do you
Europe.
think they voted for Brexit?
Because they've been screwed over by their political class for a very, very long time.
But you want them to now believe in them again and vote the other way.
I want to make sure that they don't leave the single market, which destroys that factory.
Well,
I want to make sure that those 27,000 jobs...
I mean,
I've been to Sunderland and spoken to people who were reassured by their bosses that their jobs were safe. And the Japanese ambassador has recently come out to say the exact opposite. Those people in Sunderland deserve a hell of a lot better than Brexit.
Well, they voted for it, so you're telling me that they're too stupid to know what they voted for?
I'm saying
that's an insult to them and an insult to the working class of this country.
I'm not saying
you should be ashamed of yourself.
No, I'm saying that Remainers didn't know what they were voting for either, because quite simply, if you do not know what the single market is, you do not know whether or not it's a good idea to leave it or not. For example,
right. So
please,
all of you elitist types, don't call me sir. All of you elitist types who know everything about the law and everything about the EU are going to talk down to everybody who's too stupid to know what happened, and you're going to try and reverse a very democratic decision that was taken by the majority of people who voted in this country.
My question for you, sir. Sorry, my question for you
stop
is:
calling me sir.
What is the single market?
What difference does it make what the single market is?
What is the single market?
I don't know what the single market is. I don't care what the single market is.
There we go.
I don't give a stuff.
You do not know what the single market is. This is the whole. This is the primary term that's been used throughout the entire of this debate, and you don't know what it is. That is the benefit. It's the thing of the EU that provides an economic benefit.
Why don't you tell me what it is then?
All right.
Imagine you educate all of us what the single market is.
Imagine if you wanted to sell to 28 different countries, including your own, but those 28 different countries had different laws.
Yeah, imagine that. That all happened before 1973.
Yeah. You would have.
Do you know Bob Geldof said?
No,
wait a second. Bob Geldof said that the music business. Yeah, but I didn't mean it though. I'm just playing with you, man.
Yeah, and if
I don't actually want you to give me a boring answer. Of course, I know what the bloody single market is.
If those countries have different laws, I'd have to manufacture, market, and package my product in 28 different ways.
No, you wouldn't.
That would raise my costs.
Absolute rubbish.
I'd have to pay for the extra.
What a load of nonsense.
I'd have to pay for the extra.
You have become delusional, and it's time for you to have your medication, quite frankly.
I would have to pay for the extra cost of regulatory checks. It would increase my costs. Now, by making laws together, it means anything made in this country is automatically legal across Europe. That makes things cheaper. It makes things cheaper to sell.
So I won't be able to buy a Mercedes anymore. Is that what you're telling me? I won't be able to go to Germany and buy myself a Mercedes or an Audi or a BMW because it'll be too difficult.
You'll be able to, but it will cost more.
You don't know that. Do you think Mercedes are going to deliberately cut their nose off to spite their face and make it more expensive for them to sell their cars?
It's not about them choosing to make it more expensive. It's by the fact that having different laws automatically makes it more expensive.
No, it doesn't. It does not make anything automatic. Do you know what Bob Geldof, your hero?
You literally just admitted to not knowing what the single market is.
Yeah, I was playing with you, man. You think I don't know what it means? I've studied economics as
It's
well.
so well and good to say you know what it means after you've said you don't, and then I explain it to you, and now you know what it means.
You don't get radio very much, do you? Here's the point. Here's the final point. Bob Geldof actually said last Sunday in an interview with the Sunday Times that if we Brexit, we will not have any music left in the world. The British people won't be able to produce any music. Nobody will be able to afford to go to any gigs. No bands will play. Is this bloke seriously losing the plot? Has he not heard of the Beatles? Has he not heard of the Rolling Stones or Led Zeppelin? All of whom were very successful before the European Union managed to con everybody in this country into joining it.
Honestly, I don't really care about Bob Geldof. I don't really know. I barely know who the guy is.
Well, you're going to be standing hand in hand with him tomorrow, so you might want to find out who he is, and you might want to find out what a disgusting and disgraceful creature he has been to the democratic people of this country.
This isn't about celebrities. This is about ordinary working people. Ordinary working people.
Oh, like Alistair Campbell, the man who ignored 1.7 million people who voted against the Iraq War.
Ordinary working people who will be the worst hit, because quite simply,
why are they not on the march then?
It's the areas of this country that are already the worst off that will be hurt the most.
They're the ones that voted to leave.
If the places
they voted to leave.
If the economy is hit, it is always those who are already worst off who suffer most. They don't
seem to believe that because they voted to leave. Did they not?
An economic hit is not going to make Westminster suddenly start caring about Sunderland, about Hull. It is those areas that will suffer the most. And I find that completely unacceptable.
Well, you may find it unacceptable, but you may also find unacceptable the fact that they voted to leave. Yeah. Are you telling me that you know more than they do? That they're too stupid to understand it? That is the biggest insult you've come out with yet.
I'm saying they voted for more control, a better NHS, and to be better off.
Rubbish. They just wanted to leave.
And right now, they don't.
They just wanted to leave.
People do not wake up every morning thinking about the EU. They think about...
You do. I bet you do.
No, I don't.
What did you wake up thinking about this morning?
Actually,
breakfast primarily.
Actually, Femi, I think you'll find that most people did vote on immigration, rather than the NHS.
Which comes to control.
But it's like, so, you know, they voted to leave. They've had that vote.
And if we're going to talk about immigration, what do people believe about the EU in terms of immigration? Why do they think?
Well, the EU has made it easier for people to emigrate into Europe and made it easier for people, once they're in Europe, to migrate to Britain. That's a fact. It's as simple as that.
And what do they believe? Do they believe there's uncontrolled migration?
You're asking me what other people believe. I'm not arrogant enough to tell you what other people believe. I can tell you what I believe. You're the guy that thinks you know what everybody else thinks. So why don't you tell me?
Well, we were told by the people that during the Brexit campaign that the EU forces uncontrolled immigration and there's nothing we can do to stop unlimited numbers of people from the other countries coming here enjoying the same rights and privileges as all the rest of us. That's a direct
There were
quote
three
from
countries that allowed uncontrolled immigration to come in from Eastern Europe, right? We signed up with Ireland and with Sweden. We didn't have to do that, but we did. So partially it's Britain's fault. However, as a result of being in the European Union, we have a much bigger immigration problem than we would have had if we were not in it. It's as simple as that.
Not really.
Really.
Given that we have a more or less roughly similar level of immigration from countries outside of the EU, you can't really blame our membership of the EU for increased immigration.
Doesn't matter whether you blame the EU for increased immigration. The fact is, as a result of being in the European Union, the immigration has increased. It's a simple fact. You can't argue with that.
No, given that
where have all the Romanians come from?
They come from Europe, but given that we have chosen not to use the restrictions on immigration that are available under EU law,
we chose not to. Yes. But because we're in the EU, we've got more immigration than if we were not in it. Is that not true?
Not necessarily.
Oh, not necessarily.
If we are allowing the same number of people from outside the EU to come here, there is no reason to believe that we wouldn't allow the same number of people from Europe to come to this country.
Now, let me ask you the final question, because we're running out of time. A lot of people want to get on and talk about this as well. The bottom line is, the last time you guys had a march, it was not terribly well attended. What is the number?
Not terribly well attended.
Not terribly well
attended. It was about 150,000 people.
Yeah, that's not many people. Yeah, 1 million people marched against the war in Iraq. And guess what? Your mate Alistair Campbell decided to ignore them and go and bomb some innocent people in Iraq anyway after sexing up a dossier. So he has blood on his hands. He has no moral high ground. I'm hoping that you won't stand shoulder to shoulder with him, because he's not the man that represents our country.
Quite simply, this isn't about politicians. This is
really?
This is about the people of this country.
So
who
how
will
many
be hurt by
people
Brexit.
will you be expecting tomorrow to make it work?
The people who just 10 minutes ago you said it doesn't matter if they don't get what they want, because
that's not what I said.
You said
Please don't misrepresent me.
You said it's unreasonable.
No, I said that it's very unusual for anybody at an election to get what they voted for.
And you're willing to accept that.
That's the way democracy works, mate.
The idea of democracy is you vote. If you don't get what you want...
When was the last election you voted in? When was the last election you voted in where you got what you wanted?
If you vote for something...
Tell me.
Well, actually, that's one of the main problems of our political system in this country.
Right.
I mean, my jurisdiction...
So you'd rather have some kind of dictatorship where only lefties ran everything?
No, I'm saying that our first past the post system means that most people's votes don't actually count.
Right. So when you have proportionate representation, you get people sitting in Parliament you didn't even vote for, who are given some rights because they were on a list, because they suck up to the party they suck up to.
Proportional representation is a lot more representative, a lot more democratic than first past the post.
Well, do you know what? If that was the case, you'd have a lot more UKIP MPs in Parliament, and maybe Brexit would be happening quicker.
I'd be fine with that.
Oh, good. Thank you so much.
Femi,
that's really kind of you.
Femi, you did just say that this isn't about politicians or politics per se. So why are you marching on Parliament?
Because we need to convince the MPs that it is in their interest to give us a vote.
But you've been saying the same
You've had a vote.
things.
We've had a vote.
We have. And you've been
have
saying...
we voted on a deal?
No, you don't get to vote on the deal. You voted on leaving the country, leaving the European
Union.
Union.
There is literally precedent in this country for getting to vote on a deal. The Good Friday Agreement.
That's not precedent for Britain.
Every single voter received a copy.
I didn't vote on that.
Every single voter.
Did I vote on the Good Friday Agreement?
It's a precedent in this country.
Did you?
The people of Northern Ireland, they did.
Yeah, they did. That's Northern Ireland. That's a region of this country. It's not the United Kingdom.
But it's still precedent in this country that you get to vote on a deal.
You're clutching at straws, mate. You are absolutely desperate. You're deluded. It's time to go.
It is literally
time to leave. No more remaining in here for you.
It is literally more democratic to be able to see the deal that you're signing before you sign it. That is what we're asking for. That is a people's vote. That is why young people, especially,
you're wasting your time. You're not going to get it. You might as well pack up and go home now.
Given that
don't even bother turning up tomorrow.
Given that nobody's happy with the deal we're getting, it is only logical that people.
I'm happy.
You're happy with a deal that leaves us with less control?
Yeah, no, this is with more control, actually. But we haven't got any more time to argue about it.
The deal that Theresa May is offering us leaves us
She's not going to offer us any deal. She doesn't have a deal. We should leave now without a deal and move on.
That's not what's happening. The deal that we're being offered leaves us...
Oh, you know what the deal is, do you?
Well, she wants us to be in a...
nobody has a deal. There is no deal.
She wants us to be in a common rule book with the EU. That means that we
She might not even be Prime Minister in March, you know that?
That means we follow the rules of the EU, but we've given up our dominant position in setting those rules.
Right.
Now, that is less control. People ask for more. That is why we are marching on Saturday to demand a better future for this country.
Wasting your time.
Because young people will be disproportionately affected by this,
Rubbish.
and that's why we are going to be leading the march.
Cobbers.
We are bringing down 1,000 young people to literally lead from the front of this march to demand that MPs
Make sure that
put
you don't
that
upset
decision
any of them.
squarely before the British people.
Right, fine. Thanks very much indeed. Cheerio.